Hello, everyone. Welcome to Connections for Life. I'm Ted Pete.
Chad Kuba.
Are you tumor Chad?
No, I just have a headache.
You might want to get that looked at. You have a headache?
A little strain up front in the frontal lobe.
Chad, I think you've got a Peyton Manning head. You look like
I don't
Peyton
know. I
Manning
feel like
the
I'm
last
really
3
smart. I
years
should
in
be
Denver.
I feel like I should be in chemistry class.
If you could put a football helmet on that thing, it'd look just like Peyton Manning.
It would be pretty amazing, wouldn't it?
Oh, anyways.
Wow.
That's great. That is awesome.
It's as close as I can get.
Peyton Manning?
Game time.
We're back.
All right. Can you get that off now? I can't look at you and take you serious with your.
Oh, no, it doesn't come off. No. Really?
Chad was doing his Peyton Manning impression today, folks, as we started our show.
Wow.
Anyway.
Right. How do I make it go away?
How was your weekend?
Here we are again.
It was all right.
Very interactive response. Thank you. We appreciate that.
I'm waiting for Chad to stop.
Thank you. There we go. We're back in business.
I don't even know what you really look like anymore. Take the filter off.
Chad's in the lab this week.
Nothing. My weekend was awesome, man. I didn't have any soccer or softball or anything this weekend, but I did have the opportunity.
So you chose hockey.
I did have the opportunity to go see Chad's son, Logan. He was playing up in Syracuse. He played on Saturday and on Sunday. So I went up both days and watched him play. I have to say, I haven't seen him play in a long time, but I couldn't believe how good they all are. These are this is for real hockey. It's pretty impressive. I was really blown away. They had a rough go. They played an awesome team.
Yeah.
The team they played was just incredible.
Christian Brothers Academy?
No,
Christian Brothers, they don't have a good hockey team.
No.
They're okay.
Who'd they
They're
play?
okay.
They played
Northwood Prep. Yeah.
Up in from Lake Placid. Is that where they're from?
Mm-hmm.
These kids, it was like watching professional hockey. They were legitimately all over the ice. It was really a great game, but it was fun to see Logan. I brought him up some beef jerky and some treats for him to take home, and it was a lot.
They didn't. There's no chance they made that.
They didn't make it up the bus ride.
No. He said his exact thing was, "Oh my God, I'm gonna dummy these on the car ride home." That's what he said. That was his exact response. So no, it was really good to see him. I've known Logan since he was a little kid, and now he's like a grown man, and it's just awesome to see him thrive and succeed. And it was cool. I had a lot of fun.
The funny part to me was on Friday, he played a game at home and it was against the Indy Fuel, and the game ended and he played really good. They had a good game. And I was like, I wonder how long his bus trip is tomorrow. And I look it up and I'm like, I think it's near Buffalo. And I look it up and I go, oh, it's in Syracuse. And I texted Joe, I don't even know what time it was. It was probably 10 o'clock. Yeah. And I was like, hey, I just figured out Logan plays tomorrow and Sunday in Cicero, wherever that is. I think it's near Syracuse. So then Joe's like, I'm going to go. So he calls me and he's like, hey, is there something I could take Logan that he would like? And I'm like, I don't know, man, beef jerky. So then he's like, would you just ask Lindsay? So I go out and I go, Linz, I go, what could Joe take Logan that he would like for, the trip? And she goes, beef jerky? And I was like, wow, amazed. We both said the same thing.
So yeah, I went to the beef jerky outlet at the mall, and I got
I've been there.
A gift box. It was amazing. Yeah. So it was good. It was a lot of fun. I was happy to
dog that on the car ride home. What about you, Chad? What'd you do, buddy?
Watched those 3 games of hockey essentially Saturday
on the computer.
Yeah, on the well, we figured out how to do it on the computer, on the TV now, at least most of the time. But we watched those 3 games, and then Zoe yesterday, essentially the game ended, his game in the morning, and we had to leave and go to lacrosse practice for 3 hours. So that's where Lindsay and I went and did some other stuff. But really, it was actually kind of a fun weekend. We didn't have a lot, too much going on. It was nice to sit home and just watch stuff at home and be able to.
So that's funny because that's kind of how my weekend was via force, because of some rules that I have to follow. I didn't get to go anywhere this weekend because I was quarantined until Sunday at midnight.
But you weren't.
But I was negative. Yes, you're right. You're right. I had a negative test, but I still was required to quarantine until
this is about the mouth herpes, right? Not COVID, huh?
No, nothing to do with mouth herpes or the face paint. None of that was any relevant in the factor.
It just that the whole thing didn't make any sense. So you were quarantined all week. I didn't know that.
So they threatened me with being arrested on Friday if I didn't stay home until Sunday at midnight. So I actually had like the most productive honey-do list weekend in the history of my marriage. I managed to put together the Blackstone, one of the heating lamps that we use for outside. I got all the yard work done.
How hard was the Blackstone to put together? I want to get one. It just looks like a nightmare.
It was not that bad. It took me 2 hours total.
What's a Blackstone?
Like a griddle, griddle.
The hibachi griddle style one.
And instead of a regular grill, it's a flat surface.
Yeah,
I'm not getting one of those.
I got like the 3-foot one, and it took
you got a good grill though, Joe. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah, but that's what I did. I got that done. And then we had a fire in the fireplace because I got the wood put in the right place.
I thought you were going to say like you had a bad fire somewhere.
No,
we lit the house on fire.
No, I had a wood. I got the
we used our Blackstone.
With the Blackstone. Yeah, exactly.
That's pretty cool.
It was honestly, I was annoyed and angry the entire time I was doing it. But when I realized how much I accomplished, I was like, this is awesome. Until I got up this morning and was like, why does my back hurt so bad? This is awful.
That's just because you're old.
I know. Exactly.
I think I
don't normally do. So yeah, it was a nice weekend though.
So anyways, moving on. You had mentioned a couple weeks ago altruisms. Remember you said, I think these are altruisms. Remember that?
No. I think I confused the word with something else.
I looked up the actual term. They're called idioms. Okay. So they're called idioms. That's
not altruisms. They're idioms.
Idioms are a group of words established by usage as having a meaning not deducible from those of the individual words. Example, raining cats and dogs. Right. So that's what an idiom is. So for those of you that didn't know.
Do you have an idiom for this week?
I do.
Okay.
I like this
nice transition, Dad.
This one's called
this one is Joe's idioms corner.
It is. I think it's idiot corner. What does break the ice mean? So to break the ice means to get past the initial awkwardness of a meeting or meeting a new person or an otherwise uncomfortable situation. So what does that mean?
Mine's coming from nautical times of having to break through ice in frozen oceans or frozen lakes or something to get through there. That's my immediate answer.
Okay.
I didn't even think about it.
I don't know where that would have came from. Maybe when company was coming over for dinner and it was somebody new, you would have to chisel off the ice block for drinks.
Oh wow, that's very
in the time.
That's not bad. I like that one. It's actually, this is one of the most literal idioms because that's what it means. What Chad said. This idiom is likely developed from the practice of boats at sea breaking the ice in a body of water in order to pass through it and clear a path for other boats to also travel through. So this is one that doesn't have like a really cool old meaning, but
I wish it did.
I wish it was mine.
I actually like Ted's better.
Yeah.
Can we change that?
It actually means when somebody, I can make anything you want of. No one really knows.
Can you make me a French model?
And believe it or not, I just got this off the internet, so it could be wrong anyways. I don't really know. But that's it. That's this week's idiom.
Okay.
And that's what you guys were hearing when I was hitting the button. It was how to pronounce the word idiom. Remember when you were like, what does that sound?
Do it for the audience.
I don't know if you can hear it. Hold on. Hold on. I lost it.
What a little letdown that was. Joe made this sound 5 million times while we were in this here.
I can do it again. Here it is. Ready?
Idiom.
At least now I know what it says.
Yeah, now I hear idiom. Before I was hearing Ian, and I was like, "Who's Ian?"
I just thought I thought it said in.
I thought you guys were saying. I thought you guys would think it said idiot, and I was just gonna play it along with it. But anyways, moving on.
You are, Chad. Do you know what time it is?
I do. It's time to get
Lunchtime.
out of this. It's time to pull the ripcord here, and and get to our weekly gas fact right when we pull the cord here. It's going to happen. There we go. And we'll change over to the weekly gas fact.
Right, boys. So this one was I posted it this morning. I think some of you guys have voted, maybe, I don't know, but we'll catch your answers here. So in 1821, the first well specifically intended to obtain natural gas was dug in Fredonia, New York, believe it or not.
Whoa, hey.
Yeah, by
basketball players goes there.
There you go. By a Mr. William Hart, after he noticed gas bubbles rising to the surface of a creek. Hart dug a blank, so how deep, well, to try and obtain a larger flow of gas to the surface. I'll give you multiple choice because I gave multiple choice on the intranet. I'll give it to you here. 45. That's for Lindsay Kubo. 45. 45. She'll know what that means. So A, 45, B, 240, C, 27, or D, 145.
What year was it?
1821.
45 is my guess.
I have to go 45.
45. The answer is actually 27. It was only 27 feet deep.
I knew it couldn't be very deep. That 18.
In 1821, it was pretty. I mean, that was a long way to dig. Go out your side with a shovel right now.
A really big breaker bar he had there, just smashing into the ground.
Isn't it funny in your mind? You're like 27 feet. That's not far. But in 1821, the dude had a shovel.
Listen. Have you ever tried to install a basketball net where you have to put 4 feet in the ground and by the time you're there, you're like, oh, I'm definitely 4 feet. You measure and you're 2.
Yeah.
Ready?
I, for 2 years, did landscaping and had to dig those giant holes with I
got one better for you guys. You ready for this one? So back in the Marine Corps, we used to do this stupid thing called dig foxholes with a shovel.
I thought you were going to say you had to dig it so you could poop in it.
It's folded in half. It's this big. All right. And we would have to build or dig a 2 rifles long, 1 rifle wide hole that was as deep as the tallest person who was supposed to be in the hole. So it would come to here on us, right? I'm 6'5". We dug it with a shovel.
I'd be so angry if I was in your.
Okay, a couple of things. You're 6. A couple of things. You're 6'4".
You're not 6'5".
6'4 3/4.
You're 6'4", and you were in sand.
No, we were not in sand.
It was just like being at the beach, Teddy.
No, it was not. I can tell you the granite story.
Did you guys build like little sandcastle things on them? Like,
no.
Here's a good guy. This is a good question. What do you do with what comes out of the hole? I mean, because I assume
you build it up.
Do you?
No. You put it to the side of your hole, and you put it to the side of your hole because you have to fill it back in.
Oh, your side hole.
Leave it how you found it, huh?
It's like being on the golf course.
Yeah, you put it to the side of the hole because you have to put it.
Replace your divots, Teddy. Replace your divots.
Replace your divot, yeah. But yeah, do that with a shovel this big. So I know exactly how deep 27 feet is because I had to do 4 foot, and it was like, oh, this is terrible.
It's not great.
All right, great gas fact, Joe.
That was a fun one.
Well done, young man. Well done. All right, let's get to the why people are actually watching the show besides us, because we know it's not us. No. I realize that we're going to have a guest joining us, Mr. Stuart Saulters. Okay, Stuart is a future congressman and possibly president of the United States.
We'd like to think that at least.
All right,
he's awesome.
Stuart serves as the Vice President of Government Relations at the American Public Gas Association. I combined public gas.
Just keep going.
We know what you did.
I hate both of you equally.
I didn't even do anything that time.
What do they do at the American Pass Association?
They pass gas.
Stuart's been with the American Public Gas Association since April of 2019. Prior to that, he was the senior policy advisor at API. He spent 6 years in Chevron. He's got a ton of industry experience.
And he's only 22, which is weird.
Well, he's 14. Yeah. But one of the things that's really cool, and they'll see it in the interview, is Stuart's probably got a future in politics.
Yeah,
Stuart's awesome. It might go back to his time as an intern at the Republican National Convention. He's interned under Senator Thad Cochran as well, so he shared that with us a little bit. But You know, he might be one of those guests that you're going to want to know later time in life.
He just the stuff that he puts out on social media and puts out in regards to the positives of natural gas and the energy industry are just, they really are like game changing stuff that he puts out.
It's a really cool stuff. Yeah, Stuart, it's a pleasure. So,
so without further ado, welcome to Connections for Life, Stuart Saulters. Hello, Stuart. Welcome to Connections for Life. How you doing, my friend?
Doing well. How are y'all?
Very good. What's going on, man?
You know, it's nice. So it's a nice fall day here in the Washington, D.C. area. So I guess you guys are a little further north. So probably
I'm in Columbus. We have a fall day too, and I'm not happy about it.
Like
it went from 95 on like Monday to 52 today.
It's been falling upstate New York for 3 months. So
perma gray.
Yeah, I always say, I mean, I used to love traveling even down to DC because of being in upstate New York. Like even just that short distance change is so dramatic. I mean, as far as weather and temperature, it's crazy. But yeah, another fall day here. So yeah, wonderful. I've already raked leaves like 4 times.
It'll be winter next week.
Yeah. So anyways, enough about weather. Let's get you started like everybody else. I don't even know why I have to ask this question anymore, but how did you get into the industry and your position and what you're doing? Let's give a little background on that.
Yeah, no, I'm happy to. And first of all, thanks for the opportunity. I appreciate the chance to get on the air, talk to you guys.
Yeah, well, we're going to get near the bottom of the barrel of the list.
That's funny.
Appreciate that. Yeah,
we're not supposed to tell people that, man.
Yeah, to get the sloppy.
The really big barrel, though. I don't know if that makes it better or worse.
Well, this is episode 75. Like it's kind of like commemorative, right? Like 75th episode, right?
Well, we were talking about the jersey. Are you talking about your sweatshirt there, Chad? Maybe that's why you need a.
Does that say 75? Oh, 76.
Yeah, it works to say. Oh, well, one off. But no, just real quick. So my role now is the Vice President of Government Relations at the American Public Gas Association. And so with that, the American Public Gas Association, just real quick for the lingo, it's a trade association. So we represent about 1,000 public natural gas utilities across the U.S. So just real quick, there's a difference between when you think about local distribution companies, you got the public utilities. And so those are the ones that are owned by the cities, the municipality, basically the mayor is the CEO, the board of directors is the alderman or utility board, whatever it may be, depending on what city you're in. And then the investor owned utilities is, the big guys, so to speak. So just kind of, the names you're familiar with when it comes to kind of utility sector, natural gas distribution companies. And so we're a little different from those guys, but haven't always been in the distribution sector. So I kind of cut my teeth in the refining industry. So right out of college, I had a civil engineering degree. And so I went to work for a Chevron refinery down in South Mississippi. And so that's kind of where I learned about the energy industry, specifically the oil and gas industry. After about 4 years there, I got the opportunity to do upstream. So did some hydraulic fracturing projects and work out in Western PA. Still working for Chevron, but just kind of got a little bit of exposure to a different side of the industry, more of that upstream drilling production aspect. And then one reason or another, I decided, hey, let's try the government relations thing. And so went from Chevron doing the engineering to Washington, D.C. to work for the American Petroleum Institute. Working. Yeah. I kind of always had like an interest. Like I, did like student government at college, and I interned in Washington, D.C. when I was a college student. So
I don't want you. I don't want to. I'm gonna stop you there, but I don't want you to stop. I'm just interested in the portion that you worked in hydraulic fracturing and some of that stuff. That's stuff we don't really get to talk about. Yeah. We're luckily enough that we have people like you that did the work that get the gas to us. But how was that? I mean, especially I know how busy it was in Western PA, probably around when you were doing it. It must have been pretty crazy.
Yeah. So I got there in 2012, which was kind of, I think the first well was around 2010 that I can't remember who it was, but anyway, one of the smaller producers in Western PA, but yeah, so it was definitely the thick of things. I mean, we were blowing and going. I didn't do a lot like with the actual, drilling. I was more downstream, like kind of after the well was in production.
Mm-hmm.
And so kind of maintaining the well sites, making sure the separators were working, making sure.
It's pretty neat.
Yeah, it was cool. And it was funny. Like I mentioned, I always had an interest in politics and the government relations stuff, policy. And so kind of knew that's where I wanted my career path to go. And when I, was interviewing for API and even with talking with APGA, as I was looking at other opportunities, I mean, I think that experience was really cool because like not a lot of people in our industry know that side. Right. And so, so I get, our members kind of freak out when the price of natural gas goes up and they're like, why is this happening? I was like, well, there's some stuff happening upstream, we'll probably get into it, but there's policies and with this administration that's kind of making people fearful of drilling and putting in new wells. And so that trickles down to us downstream. So yeah, so it's been cool just to kind of look through my career and see how all things tie together. And, the energy industry, as you guys well know, is very integrated. So you can't do one thing without somebody else feeling the impacts of it for sure. So
how long have you been with APGA?
Yeah, so I was with API about 4 years and then transitioned over to APGA, in 2019. So I've been here about 2 years. So,
did you do the same thing at API, Stuart? Did you government relations side, or were you doing something different there?
Yeah, it was mostly government relations. My role or my title was policy advisor. And so it was very, very much focused on pipeline safety regs. So working with the guys at DOT, Department of Transportation, Pipeline Hazardous Materials Administration, PHMSA. So definitely had more interaction.
Lots of CFR stuff, CFR 192 stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And it was, and also too.
Yeah, look at Joe's face. That's exactly how I feel about CFR 192. People are like, CFR 192.32.19.17.A.B. And I'm like, no.
It's my favorite of the people like Stuart who can like quote parts of.
Yeah, 100%. I think like Stuart whenever I go
in Section 4, Bylaw 93, the
Article 16.
I have post-it notes. I don't even know what's going on in my day-to-day life, let alone.
I do. It's posted on your wall over there.
There's like Stuart. This is how I exist right
here.
Sorry.
These are the permanent ones that I can't forget. That's
the important stuff. So you said something how you came to APGA in 2019. What time frame in 2019? Had you been there a while before the pandemic started? How much is your I know I'm going completely off script here, that's a good question. How much has your job changed since? You weren't there that long before the pandemic started. So you kind of only when did you start there in 2019?
He doesn't even know what the job is like. Actually, he hasn't really done it yet.
Yeah.
Well, I'll throw another wrench in it. So you guys have had Dave Shriver, our CEO, talk with you. So yeah, I guess I am the bottom of the barrel. Went to Dave first, but anyway. But now,
no, we had your custodian too on.
No, we have not at all.
We had janitor Bob. He's right at the episode right before you.
Well, he's the one that knows everything. No, just kidding. But yeah, so definitely a blessing. But so Dave, our CEO, retired in 2019. And so Dave actually got promoted to that role. And so when I hired in, I was mostly focused on regulatory stuff. So I have a colleague that does a lot with PHMSA. So I was doing more with the Department of Energy, with the Environmental Protection Agency. And so not only
you were going into an office every day.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. And this was, I started in around May of 2019. Okay. And so
you had a couple months in.
Yeah, absolutely. And definitely very, we had 3 in-person. Yeah, we had 3 out of town in-person conferences a year. And then we had 1 in DC. So 4 in-person events for our members every year. So I was able to do at least 3 of those in 2019. But of course we had 1 in January, 2020. And then just the wheels fell off with COVID. And then, but the thing was with Dave moving up, I was able to get the opportunity to be vice president of government relations. So now, not only have I been at APGA only 2 years, I've been in 2 different roles in those 2 years. And so, a lot of transition, but, I'll be honest, no offense to the API folks or whatever, but it's very cliche. And I know, it's very, whatever, people are probably rolling their eyes, but we like to say we're the white hats because we're the public utilities, right? We're not for profit, and I'm not throwing all those guys under the bus.
No.
Great people, it's
yeah. You can say you're, but the fact that you have to say that you are means you are, which is
I'm not throwing them under the bus.
Don't worry, no one watches this anyways. It's fine.
Okay. I won't tweet it out or anything, so nobody knows what I'm saying. But,
Don't worry,
no,
we're fine.
We'll black out your face and make it digitized.
That's right.
It'll be like one of those
Don't worry,
police
I
things,
changed
like,
your name
when
before
I
this
was
anyway. I changed your name before. You could have
What
left
is
it
it?
like that.
Yeah,
Nobody
that's
would have
right.
known.
Names were blurred to protect the innocent.
We
But
always
anyway,
we always put at the end of these the views and opinions of our guests do not reflect the views of the show. I had a question for you because we didn't even talk about this before, and I just wanted to like kind of go into it a little bit. What do you do? Right? Like what, like
That's a
VP
great
of
question.
government relations, like what do you do all day? What is the normal like day-to-day job?
What's that mean?
Stuart?
yeah. No, that's a good question. Sometimes I wonder what I do myself, but I would like to say I go play golf every day, have big fancy dinners with,
I don't think you want to say that.
Get me in trouble, ethics reform. But anyway, no, I don't do that. So yeah, it's interesting. And like I said, I mean, you have to kind of nerd out on the CFR stuff to really enjoy what I do. Cause I do, I mean, I really enjoy the work. And so on a day-to-day basis, like I said, the vice president of government relations, so I have a woman that works for me that's great. She does kind of the regulatory stuff. So she's kind of monitoring what's happening at the Department of Energy, EPA, Environmental Protection Agency, Federal Energy Regulatory Commission, FERC. And so she and I'll chat kind of what's coming up on the hopper from those agencies. So just like PHMSA, those agencies have rulemakings, or FERC doesn't necessarily have rulemakings, but they have, cases they're looking at, different,
and those things can change every day, I assume. As weird as that sounds, like you could have something come out of FERC that'll change how everybody has to do business. That's pretty crazy to think about.
Yeah, no, I mean, just as an example, it was an investor-owned utility, but we're good allies with Spire Utilities based out of St. Louis, and so basically, it kind of started out as a court case, but anyway, this court told Spire to basically shut down their pipeline. And it was a few weeks back, and so there's a lot of legal stuff, but basically Spire had to go to FERC and say, FERC, do I need to shut down my pipeline? And so now there's this kind of debate going back and forth between this active pipeline that a court told them to shut down, and what is FERC going to say? What does Spire got to do? And so the scary thing there is there's precedent that could be set, and like a court having this authority to just stop pipelines. And so, yeah, I mean, you never know what's going to come down the pipe. And it's crazy too, like, you had the Trump administration, which obviously has different political ideology than what we have with the Biden administration now. And so you've got this whipsaw of, one of the things we monitor a lot is appliance efficiency rulemakings. So, if you go, kind of the easiest way to explain it, if you go to the Lowe's or Best Buy or Home Depot, you see the yellow tag on an appliance, right?
Yep.
So that's Energy Star. So that's a program that's actually run through EPA, but a lot of that is fed by the data is fed by what DOE does through appliance efficiency rulemaking. So like testing to figure out how efficient it is, whatever. So anyway, so obviously we don't make appliances, but natural gas fuels appliances. And so we monitor that because, it is what it is. I don't think I'm telling any secrets here. There's motivations within this administration that basically wants to mandate only using electric appliances. And so a way that they do that is making natural gas appliance efficiency regulations really stringent. And so, and by all means, like, I'm totally
I get what you're saying.
I understand exactly what you're saying.
I mean, I'm clean air, all about the environment.
We all are. That's not, I want what's best for the environment too, but
I think that's the misnomer.
Yeah. And they're just that's
the part that's screwed up.
Yeah. And it's not that, and honestly, it's just, they're tipping the scales, right? I mean, if you put it, out there, even like natural gas appliances can easily compete with electric appliances. I mean, frankly, because I know you guys have talked about before, you look at the generation mix. So what's, electricity is not just when you flip the switch, like something's got to create the electrons and get it to your house.
And the lifespan of natural gas appliances are typically much longer than electric. I learned that from my Jim Varney video that's going to come out this week, that from Leclerc gas in like 1985. Yeah. It was a 17-year lifespan on a heat pump.
Yeah.
Or not a heat pump, on a natural gas appliance. And the heat pump only lasted for 9. Sorry. Shout out to
Wow, man.
Ernest.
Yeah.
I'm just glad I retained something, Joe. You got to give me credit.
I don't even know if it's accurate.
It is.
We can't even fact check you.
I will. I'm going to put it out there.
I think it's funny. Like you talk about the, whatever. I'm going to screw this up in the way I'm going to paraphrase it, but the administration trying to push more efficiency, rules, laws, Bible, whatever, to natural gas to push electric, stoves and all the appliances. The funniest part about all that to me is that much of the electricity that we generate in the United States comes from natural gas. And the efficiencies are so bad when you go from gas to electricity, you lose like 63 or 2% efficiencies just from going from natural gas to electric. They don't care about that. They only care about what's the optics
visual. The only thing that people
the consumer, which I think is weird. I think it's a weird way to look at things, right? It's like, I always joke about this, but it's like, look over here, don't look over here.
Shout out to
we're going to give you this much of the information, and this is what you're going to make your decisions on. And I think that that's a really kind of crappy way to be.
Well, and it's not. I mean, it's the reality of what we have today, and it's kind of a false hope of what we think is going to happen in the future, right? There's this aspiration of we're going to have 100% wind and solar. And I mean, that lofty goal, sure, but there's a lot of hurdles to get there, right? I mean, you're talking about
3% right now, I believe.
Four.
Oh, we made a jump in the last 2 weeks.
I think my gas fact might have just been wrong. No one fact check me, Stuart. I can say whatever I want.
That's right. Yeah, we're good. We're good. Well, we'll get the sources later, but like, and the crazy thing is, like, I mean, as you guys well know, I mean, following the industry, like, pipelines are not what people want in their backyard, but you think people want power lines in their backyard? Like, at least the pipeline's buried. And so you got, sure, there's wind projects off the coast of Massachusetts that they're thinking about, but that's like one, right? I mean, a lot of this wind is generated in the Midwest, and you got to get that power to where people live in the urban areas. And you got to store it. And so there's all kinds of infrastructure that, people are going to have to figure out how to work on if they use that 100% wind and solar to get it out there. But
Stuart, we've luckily in doing this over the past however long it's been, we get to talk to some really, really smart people like yourself too. But one of the guys we talked to was Rick Rao, who is an engineer and kind of loves the gas fact stuff. But and it might have been actually Eric Kozak too that said it and Teddy pointed it out, to power just like a small city
on their highest
just as much, if not 2 or 3 times more land of solar to power that small city.
What Eric said was he goes, he had his engineering crew and everything do the study, and for their peak usage day of energy generation, it would require that their entire geographical footprint be covered. The entire geographical footprint be covered in solar panels to generate enough
to be able to do it,
to do their highest day.
And I think that's one of the toughest parts is, Joe talked a little bit about it earlier, like the view of like, we're not for clean energy. I think we need wind and solar. We need that, but we can't just get there by going, we're going to use wind and solar. It's not, it doesn't,
energy, the better, right? Like, I mean, I think that's the reality behind it. Like you want, I've said this 1,000 times. I've probably said it on the show at least 100, but everything that we have, everything requires energy. Yeah. Everything to make it to it's everything. And I posted a video on LinkedIn yesterday that our owner Dan had sent to me. And I think the interesting thing was that to make a difference, to really change and reduce emissions and all that stuff, the big change is in people. People need to make sacrifices and get rid of things that they're accustomed to, that their life is accustomed to. And people aren't willing to make sacrifices.
And it's
everybody will make changes until it impacts them. It's okay to have to do it until it impacts my ability to, heat my home or feed my family or something like that. Then it changes the ideology behind it. So I don't know. We've gotten way off track. I'm going to pull us back in. The direction 75 episodes. I'm going to pull us back in.
I was loving the direction we were going because everything was so just piggybacking and compounding upon what previously existed. That's why I didn't feel like we were off track. I just felt like
but it's frustrating, right? I think, Stuart, it's probably frustrating for you too, because you always feel like you're fighting this invisible enemy in some regard. And I don't, what's you laugh at me?
He muted me, and I actually gave him a compliment. He thought I was making fun of him, though, which is the worst part.
After 70 some odd episodes.
True. It was the first time I gave him a compliment.
Yeah.
After.
But I just, it's frustrating. I just want to say I appreciate what you guys do, because I don't think that people fully understand what you guys are doing, what you're advocating for, what you're being responsible for. I mean, the thing that you just said about there's an efficiency, the yellow tag. No one knows what that yellow tag is or where it comes from. Who knows? They go, 92 cents an hour. That's great. Wonderful. I'll take that one.
Yeah,
they don't have any clue what that means.
Yeah.
I didn't know until you said the DOE does testing and all that stuff to establish those. People don't know that.
Yeah.
And I think that's the one thing I like about our show is, like Chad said, we get really smart people on that know a lot more about things than we do. And I like to learn from you guys. So thank you for that. Honestly. I know there's probably a million things that you have going on at any given time with your job, but is there any current projects that you're working on that you're excited about, or anything that you're like, this is really cool and we're looking forward to, moving forward with this?
Yeah. I'll mention one, and I didn't want to lose sight. So the regulatory aspect is just one facet of what we do. We also have the legislative component. So, probably very gross generalization, but regulatory is basically everything in the administration, and then legislative is everything on Capitol Hill. So Congress, Senate, House, Representatives, whatever. And so yeah, cool thing we're doing with, the legislative component is trying to get our members more involved. And so, at the end of the day, like, people that live in the states or their districts, they're the constituents, right? They're the voters, and that's our members. And so if you're a mayor of a town that has a public utility, like, you better believe your congressman wants to hear what you have to say. Your senator wants to hear what you have to say. And so I think just helping our members who are those city leaders understand the role that they can play in telling their story. And so just this week, like I said, I think I was mentioning earlier before we went live, we had some APGA members in town, and I grew up in Mississippi, so always enjoy talking to the Mississippi senators and the Mississippi representatives. And so had one of our utilities from Mississippi go to and meet with some of these folks and chat about what's happening in his city, which is Corinth, Mississippi, kind of in the northeast part of the state. And so it was great. I mean, like, typically, like, those guys, the congressmen, the senators, are really busy. So you're just meeting with the staff, which frankly is probably more important because they're the ones actually doing the work. The congressmen.
We've heard that multiple times.
That's not the first time I've heard that.
Yeah. And probably a little, I don't know, scary, but a little interesting when they're 20-year-olds doing the work. But you never know. I mean, and that's what's cool about it is you get some cool stories. I mean, there's probably a lot of congressmen that started out, being a staffer.
Absolutely.
And so yeah, but you're building relationships, you're telling your story. And so I think just trying to get more people to do that and feel comfortable doing that. And it doesn't have to be just APGA members. I mean, I think anybody listening to this needs to understand the role that they can play in engaging their elected officials.
What was Sarge's line, Joe? If you use, what was it, makeup?
We had interviewed a gentleman, Sarge Summers, who's down in Texas. I don't know if you know Sarge.
It's a preview to his show, actually.
Yes.
Yeah, and he just says,
I think.
He runs a group, Oilfield Connections, and he started it several years ago. And he said a lot of people ask him, "Can I be part of your group?" And he said, if you put on makeup or you
turn on your light, or more or less, if you do anything in this world,
if you put on makeup and you use energy, you can be part of our group. Right. And that encompasses everybody on the planet, essentially, for the most part. And I think that's the message, right? You don't have to be somebody, like, you can be a part of something and believe in something and advocate for something that just because you don't necessarily are daily, your daily activities involved in that, it's something that you still utilize and can have a voice in. And I think that was the point that he was trying to, and I think that was kind of what you're trying to say too, right? Yeah. So,
well, that's pretty, that's good summary, Joe.
Wow.
I stuttered. Leave me alone.
Broke out, Teddy. Are you okay? Ted,
I thought you were sending SOS messages.
Okay.
Morse code to Stuart. Get me away from these.
Morse code.
dash.
So, Stuart, let me ask. So, do you have any favorite memories or crowning moments in your career so far from the industry or in personal life? you know, like you were the superstar of the chess team in school or something, I would love to hear about that too.
Why'd you say chess team? You couldn't have said like baseball. Like I feel like that's
seriously. Man.
Why are you downgrading chess?
Oh, very good question as well.
Okay, buddy. Okay. Yeah. All right.
I got a
don't
chessboard
play
on my
that.
dining room table.
Even Stuart agreed with me. He was like, "Yeah, why'd you say chess, man?"
Yeah, no. I thought it was like an engineer joke, you know, like trying to say I'm gotta be a.
I said you got a big head, so you got a big brain.
Yeah, well, thank you. But no, so I'll ask you guys my personal. I don't know if it's my personal crowning achievement. My wife might get mad at me for saying that, since she probably would hope our marriage would be that, our wedding day.
Don't worry, she's not going to watch anyway.
Yeah,
How about professional?
Yeah. Well, I was going to say, so I don't know if you can see me, but I was going to ask you guys what position you thought I played in high school in football on the football team.
Safety.
No.
Joe's the only person who knows how tall he is, first of all.
He muted himself because he was laughing.
Yeah, sorry. I don't know if y'all can hear. I got this Google Home thing, and so it's like talking to me.
Nah, no one cares. No one, like I said, no one watches this. Who cares? Say whatever you want.
It's telling me the weather right now. So
I'm going to say that you were because it's obviously something we wouldn't guess.
Right.
So,
yeah.
Because I would have guessed. I would have guessed punter, but I'm going to say
kicker. I'm going
to say defensive end.
Left guard is my offensive
nose guard. I just want to say nose guard. Nose guard.
Please don't say nose guard.
Ted was right. Offensive line. So.
Offensive line.
Really?
Yeah. So
you've lost a few pounds.
I assume now your achievement's going to be you were really big as an offensive lineman in high school, and now you're quite fit and svelte. And your wife's upset about that.
Way to take away his thunder.
Well, I'm not quite fit, but I was really big. So I think the most I weighed in high school, which granted, this day and age is not that big, but I weighed 240 pounds in high school. So I played center. And so, yeah, it's kind of a.
What do you weigh? What do you weigh now? I mean, most of the time people don't want to talk about this.
No,
237.
I'm negative. Yeah. Right, yeah. Yeah, what do you mean? Well, it's the best.
248. What?
Yeah. No, I weigh. I guess I could say I weigh around 180. So.
Oh wow.
What are you about? 6'1"?
Yeah, 6'1", 6 foot, something like that.
Oh,
so.
I graduated high school at 185, and now I'm
You're
270.
6'5".
I went the opposite way though.
But you get the
Yeah,
height,
well, you know what, Teddy, in your defense, and the one time I might defend you is that's pretty much the standard for everybody.
Yeah,
true.
Stuart's the exception.
I don't know if it's 1.5 times, but it's sort of a standard.
I weigh about what I weighed in high school, so I'm like the exact same way.
All right. So professional. Oh.
We're running out of daylight.
We are. This is great.
Yeah, well, you were muted, Chad. I didn't know what you were saying.
Well, I don't remember now. It's a long time ago for me.
I do have a professional one. I guess I can share.
Yeah, please. Let's hear
that. If that's, I'll bring us back maybe. So
thank you.
Yeah.
Put us back on track.
Yeah,
you might need to be on the show permanently.
I heard they're getting rid of me, so there's a spot available.
Keep it up, Teddy. Keep it up.
So I started the API in 2014, and if you've been around the industry, that was kind of a turning point, I think, for mostly transmission pipelines. So 2010, there was 2 big pipeline incidents, one in San Bruno, California, a gas pipeline incident, and then one in Marshall, Michigan, a liquids pipeline incident. And so from those 2 incidents, kind of culminated this National Transportation Safety Board recommendation to API to do a recommended practice on pipeline safety management systems. And so that, kickstarted after that whole process kickstarted after that recommendation. I was not at API as the document was being developed, but I got there I definitely remember like my first week, my boss, who was a little bit more involved, coming out of this like closet looking room with like 2 other guys being like, man, we just got like 1,000 comments on the first draft of RP 1173, which is the Pipeline Safety Management Systems RP. And so anyway, long process, but, through a number of events, I was able to kind of be more engaged in the implementation of RP 1173. And so right after it got published, the pipeline operators were like, this is great. cool document. What do we do now? We've read it. And so I think API and the industry as a whole, not just liquid transmission operators, but everybody kind of said, we need to do a better job at taking these documents and tracking our success. And so kind of being along that journey and seeing where it's going now has been really cool. And I definitely think that's kind of a neat, chunk of my career it's been fun to be a part of. So
I gotta ask, I guess the last question I'm going to ask is, what do you want to be when you grow up? Like, I mean, all kidding aside, I think that your goal would be, because you said earlier when you're a kid, you kind of liked politics and things like that. Is that something that you aspire to do, or be like, someday are we going to have episode 357 of Connections for Life, and we're going to have on Senator Stuart Saulters? Is that like something that might happen?
No, absolutely not. So,
no.
I mean,
what about city and council?
Yeah. I could do local. I could do local
president
government, maybe,
of the PTO.
That's probably the worst job. Parents. But anyway, no, I definitely, I mean, I hate to say I'm a cynic, but there's a lot in politics that it just is
not for you.
Good. Well, and it's just not good. I mean, I just don't think frankly, I don't think it's how the founding fathers set up our country to be governed.
I think a lot of people feel that way nowadays.
I think we've all seen Joe Rogan's thing there where he says, he says it about the founding fathers. He was like, if they could come back now, they'd be like, you haven't wrote any new stuff? You guys are still doing that?
Yeah.
With a feather. Like candle. You guys haven't changed
200 years ago, man. Come on, give it the time.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying it can't be corrected, but right now, as I look at this craziness that we have in front of us, a lot of things are bad that I don't want to be a part of. Yeah. I mean, I like where I am now, and I think I enjoy the role I have now, just in helping raise awareness of the value of natural gas and the value of our utility employees. But in terms of being intimately involved in all that stuff and having to cast votes and everything, that is not for me. And and I think, just thinking about the future, I mean, I think just, telling our story, and encouraging others to tell our story about the aspects of natural gas. It's clean, it's affordable. We didn't even talk about this.
Abundant.
It's abundant. But the biggest thing is reliable, right? I mean, you talk about wind and solar, sun doesn't shine, wind doesn't blow. Right. I mean, and so it's those aspects, I think, that really get me jazzed up, and kind of, I want to see people get comfortable engaging their elected officials and being willing to say, hey, these policies are crazy, look at what you're doing to real people, kind of thing. So
practicality of their legislation.
Mm-hmm. Well, I just want to say thanks, man. I think it's cool what you do. I really enjoy the content that you put out and the messaging that you guys do. You've been very very gracious in sharing a lot of that with me, and sending me things. And I think it's incredible what you guys are up to. I know you have a couple of trade shows scheduled, one here at the end of October. You want to just tell people where they can see you next?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And so obviously I'll say you can see me in the digital world, right? Twitter, LinkedIn, all that fun stuff. And so
make sure you spell his last name right.
Yeah, no, there's a U.
Yeah, screw that up, everybody.
You're just, y'all's company starts with a U. Come on, can't forget the U. But
it's early for us.
But our next event is in October, the last week of October in Memphis, Tennessee. So if you're an Elvis fan, we're actually going to be at the Graceland kind of campus. There's a convention center kind of on Graceland's campus. And so we'll be there. It's really cool. That one is focused more on operations. And so you'll hear about pipeline safety management systems. You'll hear about, kind of leak detection, what's going on there, cybersecurity, kind of all the different some environmental stuff. So definitely the important part of our industry. Frankly, what I do isn't that important. It's the folks that actually run the pipelines, keep people safe, keep the gas in the pipe. That's what we'll be sharing in Memphis. And then
that's awesome.
And then we'll hopefully get things kind of kickstarted in 2022 with some of our in-person events. We do spring, summer, fall for those events. So check out the website.
I don't want to go to the desert again, man.
Who thought that was a good idea?
I don't know. But I got to meet Merrill Hodge, and that was cool. So it was worth going. Yeah, it was awesome. But anyways, man, just thanks again. It's been an honor and a privilege to get to know you. I really appreciate coming on the show. I know that we have some other things that we're going to hopefully be working on with you moving forward. And I'm really looking forward to it. And, again, just thank you very much.
Yeah, no, I enjoyed it. Appreciate what you guys do. This is good.
Well,
we're working on it.
Thank you for joining us, brother. We appreciate it. And it's been a blessing for us, and specifically for me, I enjoyed it. So we'll talk to you soon and have a great time. All right.
All right. Thank you all.
Thanks. Later, man.
Stuart, I absolutely appreciate your insight on all of those topics and everything we covered in the interview. And I was truly impressed with your knowledge on everything. Again, I love talking to people smarter than me because I get to learn something every day. So thank you so much for everything.
Yeah, but that
all day you meant, right?
I mean, like when you go to the butcher, you have that experience. So when you're getting your deers cut up.
I'm not arguing with you.
I'm kind of upset that you're coming back into the show isn't going to be able to be used over.
Now he can't. Now he's paranoid about it, so he can't be like, "Wow, we should have never said anything."
No.
We could have put together 100 episodes.
Wow.
Well, we have 78 episodes of wow, what a great interview.
I want
we're going to get 78 episodes of actual change in verbatim, word for word. I guess
you'll fall back into it.
100%.
Yeah, 100%. I give you about 3 more weeks. No, it was cool to talk to Stuart. I mean, again, much like when we spoke with Zach, like getting that position, getting that perspective, getting that, we don't get that very often. So it was really unique. Stuart's just a nice guy. He's done a lot for us. He did a talk down at SGA. Like he's willing to be a really big advocate for the industry and somebody that I think really is a positive influence and somebody that I appreciate knowing. So Stuart, thank you so much. And we hope
it's funny. He told me the exact opposite about knowing you. It's not something he enjoys.
That's what most people say.
I know. Yeah. So
I'm funny though. So I get that going for me.
Yeah. Chad, anything from you, or are you just going to keep doing the same thing you always do? All right.
Yeah, no, talk. Thanks. Stuart is great. Thank you.
Stuart, great.
Seriously. Good thing there's 3 of us. We can eventually get through thanking somebody coming on this show.
When we moved everything to the front end of the show, we really haven't figured out the
back end
for the back half of the show.
Joe has something for the back. Joe's creative. Look at him.
I saw this article that I wanted to share with you guys. It was on November 4th.
Okay.
November. It was in the Pipeline and Gas Journal. And the headline is, California looks to natural gas to keep lights on this winter. And I thought, well, that was funny. So I'm just going to read you a few little clips of this, and I want you guys' perspective. So after years of restricting the growth of fossil fuel infrastructure, California is looking to natural gas for power generation this coming winter after drought and wildflowers. Wildflowers. Big problem out there. Wildfires leave the state with few options to keep the lights on. California has spent years moving away from fossil fuels to reduce planet-warming greenhouse gas emissions. But U.S. states like California and Texas have faced notable challenges to their electrical grid in recent months. And worldwide power crunches have forced other countries. This is on like the teeniest font. I can barely see it. To ramp up output of coal and other fossil fuels to maintain power. So, okay, like I get it. Things happen, right? But this is what I thought was interesting. Hydropower's contribution to electricity is set to fall, this is in California, to 5% in 2021 from a 5-year average of 12%, while non-hydro renewables, mainly wind and solar, are expected to rise 37%, government data shows. Gas-fired power plants, meanwhile, will provide 45% of the power generated in the state this year, up from a 5-year average of 41%, according to the U.S. Energy Information Administration. So with all that being said, I find it interesting that California, who is one of the strictest and most dedicated to reducing emissions and getting rid of gas in this, typically at a 5-year average from 2016 to 2020, 41% of their electric came from natural gas. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought it said gas.
I think it's really cool. I mean, I don't think it's cool that they're being forced to go back to that because they have to. They probably should have never left natural gas or any of those things and done them in tangent like we're talking about.
Yeah.
But the thing that I think, and I'm not sure how this affects the environment, but those forest fires have to do something terrible to our ozone and our environment, I'd assume, right? I'm pretty sure that if you figured it out, those forest fires probably attribute for a lot more than their use of natural gas to create energy for. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, it's probably carbon dioxide, but not necessarily methane.
No. It's just if I see black smoke going up into the atmosphere.
The last thing is California wants to produce all of its own electricity from clean sources by 2045. So that's 24 years from
What's
now.
a clean source though? Like
wind, hydro, I don't know, hydrogen maybe.
Solar.
I really don't. I thought I said that. Anyways, I just find that interesting that like, as you said, Chad, like everybody, I say this all the time and no one watches this part of the show. So I'm going to say it right now. Everybody wants change, right? They like, that's the
our industry included.
Everybody does. But, and I'm not talking about just from, gas and oil and renewables. I'm talking about for everything. People always want things to change. They want this to be better. Always. We're constantly pushing for better until it impacts them. You ever notice that? People are fine with it impacting everybody else, but until it impacts them, everybody that has clean hydro or solar, everybody loves that and they want to promote it and talk about how wonderful it is. But when it's cold and they can't heat their homes or turn their stoves on and things like that, no one cares where it comes from. And that's the point that I'd like to make, is that everybody is so concerned externally, but not internally. Everybody just wants change, but until it impacts them, and it's like, whoa, wait a minute, we need to put the brakes on.
True, though.
Well, I think it was on our call on Friday that we were discussing that a town locally here by Joe and I, Ithaca, New York, actually has passed a bill or policy or whatever that was it 2020?
2025.
2025.
I don't think it's 2020.
I
saw go backwards and then go forward. It's
the 2-2 flashed me off.
Go back to the future.
But by 2025, they are not going to install any.
It's not installed. They're going to retrofit all of the pre-existing stuff and go solely to electric.
Now, living in upstate New York, to heat with electric from September to April,
$500 a month and a normal $200 a month.
Golly, that's a lot. That's a little more than that.
Yeah, I have no idea.
That's not even the expensive part. The expensive part is all the conversion, all the heat pumps and everything else. And like there's a lot that goes into that infrastructure. I think everybody just wants this to happen so fast. And
there's no scale for it.
No,
if they want to go 0 to 100 tomorrow.
They also want to use technologies to do this that don't even exist.
Yes.
So I think that's part of the problem. I don't know. I wish everybody the best. I hope everybody in California has a very warm, healthy, awesome. But I think I want people to also understand that when their homes are heated and they have the ability to take care of their families, so remember where that came from. Remember where that source came from. When it's summer, it's warm and you don't have to worry about that as much. And there's not a level of concern. Like, just remember that 41%, now 45% of every electrical thing that happens in California comes from natural gas. It's almost 50%, which is incredible. So
I wanted to put my big brain back on so I can remember.
No, let me
got his Rastafarian hat back on, we will be.
What do you got to say, big brain? Sometimes I really wish you looked like these things, like in person. You'd be so much fun to hang out. We could write things on your forehead.
Whoa. All right. With this being completely off the wheels now, we got to go.
All right. Hit the wrong button.
Thank you, folks. We love you. We appreciate you. Remember to click like, subscribe, share, comment, do any of the things that we say that you never do every week, but we still love you. Thank you, guys, and we'll talk to you very soon.
Thanks, guys.
Cool.